What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Sunday afternoon live session for Just an Insight. Today, going to be joined by Brendan Stephans from Overo. Just going to wait for him to join in the chat, and we'll get going on this bad boy. I hope everyone's sort of well at the moment and sort of dealing with whatever the fuck's going on in the world. It's all a bit shitty at the moment. Yeah, it's just a bit fucking mental, isn't it? What's going on? Just gonna, all the protests going on here in England, all over the world, and yeah, it's just a bit fucking mad. Especially we're meant to be in lockdown as well. Not saying that's an excuse, but just the world is fucking nuts at the moment. There he is. Hello, Brendan.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, not bad, man. Yourself?
Oh, I'm clicking around trying to figure out. I've never done this before.
That's cool.
Because I don't see you, I just see a white screen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, let me see.
At the moment, you're frozen, so... Oh, you've gone. Let's try that again.
Okay, there we go.
There we go. How's it going?
So how you doing?
Yeah, good, man. How are you?
Hanging in there. Yeah.
I'm loving the records behind you.
Yeah.
Puts my collection to shame. That's fucking immense.
Yeah, it like, yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'm actually moving to next week, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a bit of a ball ache.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for getting up early and doing this. I appreciate it because it's like what 9 o'clock your time.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we kind of get into like the music stuff and everything like that, like obviously I can't not talk about what's going on at the moment in the world. And I know obviously you attended a protest in your neck of the woods. So obviously I know you're in Texas, but can you kind of explain exactly where in Texas, kind of what the vibe is and sort of what the kind of overall feeling of the protest was that you attended?
Yeah. So the easy answer would be that Houston, which is near the Gulf. It's kind of close to like the ocean, and it's the most diverse city in America.
Yeah.
It's just incredibly diverse. There's a huge Vietnamese population, Black population. George Floyd actually grew up in Houston, which is
okay.
Over in the Third Ward, which is in a very Black part of town.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm from, and Houston's just like most cities. Texas is a very red state. We have a Republican governor, and it's very gerrymandered and all that.
Yeah.
But Houston has a huge population. Feels a bit like a bubble until every now and then will be like run-ins or stuff online. By and large, it's a pretty liberal place. I feel very comfortable. So that's just talking about Houston, but as far as like the overall vibe and stuff, like I can only my personal experience. I'm white, and I've been largely quarantined. I did go to the George Floyd Memorial protest, and I have been trying to do what I can, but I don't want to speak too much just because I don't want to overstep my grounds.
No, I get that, but yeah, obviously, like I'm in a kind of a similar situation. Like I'm living with someone who's considered extremely high risk and things like that. So I therefore didn't go to our local protest. So I just kind of wanted to get like from someone that did attend, like what it was like, because obviously like you can
Yeah.
only take so much third hand from like Instagram and Twitter and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I don't know, like from your perspective, like from being there, was it a peaceful protest? Was it sort of was there anger in the air, or was it all kind of very much like, no, we need to speak this message, we need to support Black voices kind of thing?
Yeah, so absolutely. So the George Floyd Memorial protest, that one, it was incredibly peaceful, and it was huge. There were 1,000 people,
Yeah,
and before it started, they brought out like members of George Floyd's family, and like I think there was a congresswoman. They had, they were. I remember specifically, they're like, you hear blood, sweat, and tears, but you're gonna sweat today because it was like 100 degrees.
yeah,
Like you're probably gonna shed a tear, but there will be no blood. If you see any agitators, point them out, stop them. Like, they're telling 6,000 people. If you see
yeah,
anyone even getting rowdy, step in. So yeah, it seemed like everything I saw was incredibly peaceful.
that's cool.
And I think Houston, even for the other protests that have been happening, there hasn't been the same, at least any high-profile police brutality on protesters.
Yeah,
That nothing has been as big as, like, I mean, Albany just, what was it, 2 days ago, where they pushed a 5-year-old man.
yeah.
Uh, I'm sure that I don't even think we have curfew. I think is compared to some of the other places where it's it's been largely there's been a lot of there's even been a lot of things where it's like the chief of police here, he's been really supportive of the protests, and I mean, you can say what you want about, like, I mean, he's had a complicated record, but for this specific issue at this specific time, it's not as adversarial.
Yeah.
Uh, 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 so it's a good place to be right now, I suppose.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, what I've kind of been generally doing with these sort of Instagram live chats is kind of talking to people about what they're kind of doing during lockdown and quarantine and things like that. So, like, obviously, for people that are watching that may not know, outside music, you are an academic writer, you do writing and stuff. So, I guess in some kind of aspects, quarantine may have benefited you because it's given you more time to write.
Yeah. I've kind of felt as if I know this is a terrible time for a lot of people, but it's kind of been like, especially when it first started, I'm like, this is a dream come true. Like,
yeah,
responsibilities and all the things that, like, of course I want to see my friends, but then, like, like when someone cancels plans, I'm always like, yes. So, yeah, the first part of quarantine, the first month, I was leading up to my comprehensive exams, which is kind of a read 100 books and then in one weekend write 50 pages on those books, and then send them over to 3 professors that I really admire, and then see if they think I'm smart. So I would have spent that time largely reading anyway.
Yeah.
The first month. After that, I immediately started working on a new, because Overo wasn't because we've been having, I feel like the adjustment period quarantine kind of high. So after my exams, I went into recording another Only Ends Once record, which that, like, black gay sort of black and screamo solo project that I do. So that's currently being mastered. I'm really proud of it. I spent some time doing that. Now I'm mostly writing fiction because I need to have a draft novel by fall.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put in a lot of hours there, but yeah, I've also been like, I'm playing video games, like watching TV, which I haven't done for the past 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, oh great, like now I feel like I'm starting to tap out of the things that like make a quarantine repetitive, but there was also
Yeah.
backlog with stuff I wanted. I was that I feel like it hasn't been as hard for me. Like that is what it is. I mean, it's really sad, but I don't want to like conjure up some like you know to pretend as if I've been depressed this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think like I was kind of in a similar boat to you, like when it all kind of first kicked off. Like, okay, yeah, I lost out on a lot of touring work and things like that. But in terms of kind of being in my own isolated bubble, I'm kind of like that anyway when I'm not out on tour, because where I live, I'm not surrounded by like friends and stuff. Like I'm quite away from people that I hang out with on a regular basis. So it wasn't too much of a drastic change for me. But now we're in month 3 of it, and I'm like, there's only so many times I can take my dog on the same fucking walk, sort of thing. So yeah, I totally get
that. I know you're kind of out in the country, but like because like going out on walks and going like that's like I started to just me and my partner like kind of decided we were gonna start going on walks, going to parks, and there's like 50 parks in Houston that like lived here for years. I just would drive by, go to the one that's nearby. So it's been taking a lot of pictures, and that's been like another thing. I'm just like exploring different walks to go.
yeah.
But in a way, I almost feel like it's like I feel like it might like add adjust to kind of a quarantine, and how one of the things that I kind of noticed was like at least in the first couple of months, people were a lot more willing to like do Zoom calls or something just to keep in contact.
Yeah.
It seems like people are like we're getting more adjusted to it, but then also like maybe everyone's withdrawing into themselves maybe a little bit too much.
Yeah, I think like there was sort of like a tipping point where people were either going to be like, oh, I'm totally comfortable with where I am now, or it's like, nah, fuck this, I want to go out. And I think here in the UK, it was specifically like 2 weekends ago, it was like super hot, and then like everyone was like, fuck it, we're just going to the beach. And just like you just see all these pictures of like thousands and thousands of people down at the seaside, and it's like I don't know if you've got the same thing over there at the States at the moment, but our government at the moment is sort of, because of all the protests and everything, they're sort of like, this shouldn't be like, people shouldn't go out and protest because it's going to cause a second wave of the virus and things like that. And it's like, well, no, like people were down the beach and you didn't fucking complain about that. So it's just fucking nuts at the moment.
And also like 2 weekends ago was I believe it was 2 weekends ago was Memorial Day, which is like a holiday.
Yeah.
Goes to the beach and everyone has barbecues, and yeah, it definitely is it's pretty wild, and especially like I mean with the protests and stuff, people are feeling it seemed kind of like it's like we should still be quarantined. Like we need to be out there protesting. We need to be out there, but as safe as can be, wearing masks, doing like preferably, if you are not protest, it probably should be seeing less than 10 people.
Yeah, yeah. And if we kind of go back to what you were saying in terms of like music, like you mentioned sort of Overo obviously not being able to kind of practice and things, but I know we've kind of spoken privately that you were in the midst of record number 2.
Yeah.
So where does that kind of stand at the moment? And like in terms of kind of keeping in touch with the rest of the band, like have you kind of been talking to them? Have you had a chance to see them at all? How are those guys doing?
Yeah, I don't. We have one member who's been well, I see. John is he lives with his mother, and she's you know, she's older. I can't remember her exact age. She's definitely in high risk side of things.
Yeah, yeah.
Very, very. And Lindsay mercy me, we're careful as well, but we don't quite have the you know, we don't have that risk.
Yeah.
If we get something, then in all likelihood, we'll just wait 2 weeks. But for him, it'd be a whole different thing. So yeah, pretty early on, we stopped practicing computer writing.
Right.
I think we had at the time 4 or 5 songs that felt very close to being finished, and we're shooting for 8. A couple weeks ago, we got together and jammed. It was great, but it was also like, you know, we're back to square one with the live song. Like we're like listening to iPhone recordings to be like, what part was I playing? And suddenly you know, the parts that like, it's like we had been playing it like this for 2 months. And suddenly it's like, wait, I have a new idea, which, like, you know, we were, you know, I was certainly comfortable. I haven't been that way. So in a way, hopefully, we're seeing the song with fresh eyes and make everything better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not quite square one, but it's closer to that. I feel like it's going to take longer. But yeah, I mean, we're taking kind of week by since then. We've had soft, and one of the reasons was like Lindsay Mercer and I went to the protest, and John seemed to be a little bit really cautious, like okay, you're around 1,000 people, like let's see if anyone's symptomatic next week before we like get together and jam.
Yeah.
Like, even though we were wearing masks, but he needs to be that careful. So
yeah, which is totally understandable. And I think, like, because again, like me and John have spoken privately about like stuff, because his living situation is very similar to mine. So we've kind of been talking about that kind of side of things. So I totally get where he's coming from, but I don't know. Like, I just think, from my perspective, I'm just always eager to hear friends do new music. So I'm just like, come on, guys.
Well, we recorded a 7-inch that, like, I mean, I don't think it's technically announced, but we recorded a going to be. I think the art is getting finished now. Off to press, like, well, we do new songs that's out in the world for the end of the even if we don't have to be.
Yeah, that's cool. And did you guys like have any like shows and tours or anything that have been affected due to this, or were you just kind of purely focused on writing?
We had a few shows, incredible shows. Old Glow was going to be one. Burial Dance. I haven't heard them. They only have release, but they're incredible. Members of Capacity, What of Us, Au Revoir, like.
Oh, cool.
Like, and last year when we did our tour, it was one of It was like I hadn't heard the band that I had recorded, but like people were like, "Oh wait, you're playing with Eagle Dance? Like, get ready." It was like I personally felt like it was the set of tour, if not the set of like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, yeah.
On the way. And then we had a few other cool shows that happened. We wanted to try. We also had a show where it was going to be like kind of like an oi punk band, and trying to be like, let's try and do another scene sort of thing. Just do like a local show with other bands that were punk, and just try and have a good. So of course all that got canceled. We were drafted, but we hadn't started sending out email. But like we had come up with a tour route, and we were doing things, and you know, having the discussions of like, okay, so do we want to? We were thinking maybe we'll go to Canada. How far away do we? How long drives do we want? Do we just want to do smaller things? Coming up with a tour route. Yeah, we were kind of, and as it started happening, we were very much like, you know, thank God we didn't get too expensive because so many friends that you know, had tours. I mean, our last show that we played was with Portrayal of Guilt, as they were just about to go to the UK. Had to so
I was meant to be driving that tour as well, which is like heartbreaking.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's funny because like I legit like I was telling their bassist like because I don't think they've been to the UK in a bit, right? It's been a little.
They came over. They did a tour with. So they were tour support when Deaf Heaven and Touche Amore did their co-headliner, but obviously that was in like much bigger venues. So yeah, they hadn't done anything just them for a while.
Because I was like, I was talking everyone up. Like I was like, with Katie and with Punch On, like the two back, and I was just like, okay, like just like really, it's like getting them hyped, and they're like, oh, yeah, like, you know, I've really checked them out, check everything out. Like, so yeah, that's like, I guess it makes sense. Like, you know, playing with Deaf Heaven, and then they're going to the show, to the DIY spaces. But yeah, I was, pretty lucky that we didn't get too deep into the woods that we had to cancel because, I mean, even that Portrayal of Guilt show that we played, like things started to feel pretty weird. It was like, it was pre-quarantine, but like, you know, hearing a lot of things that it's like, is this a good idea? Like, like, you know, after playing, you know, like a stranger come up like, hey man, good job, like going in for a hug, and I'm like, I think this is a bad idea. Like,
yeah, it's weird because like on a kind of a different scale, like before all of my laptop and electrical stuff like decided to bust, one of the last like full podcasts I did was with the vocalist of Rotting Out, and he said that they were kind of a similar thing. Like they had like a record release party in this like pretty much like a house show sort of thing in LA.
Yeah.
And they said they had that show, and then 2 days later the country declared lockdown, and they were like, oh fuck, we've just been in a like sweaty house full of like 150 people. So it's weird how like it can go from being normal 1 minute and then just like bang, gone sort of thing. It's fucking weird.
Yeah. Because Portrayal of Guilt, they were like currently touring, like doing a short US run. They like had the decision, like, you know, 4 days or 4 or 5 days before. So it's like, and so like, I mean that's the worst case scenario where you're seeing dwindling attendance, feeling more and more uncomfortable as you're also like, you know, especially just because the U.S. is what it is, like, you're 30 hours away from home,
Yeah.
you know? So, yeah, my friends in short fictions, they were also currently on tour, like 6 days into a month, that they had to cancel.
Yeah.
Bad.
Well, because I was out with Ithaca at the time, but it was when they were doing the shows with Big Thief. So they were like 1,000 cap venues, so pretty big venues. And we were in Copenhagen, and the promoter, so their government at the time was still doing shows, but they were like, we can't go above a certain amount of people. I think it was like 700 people. So what they did is they split the show into two and had like a matinee and an evening. Did the matinee show absolutely fine. And then in the break period between the matinee and the evening show, the government declared lockdown. So they had to cancel the evening show. And obviously, like, people who bought tickets had no fucking idea what was going on.
Yeah.
So there was people like queuing outside the venue.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, this is fair play to Big Thief. What they ended up doing is grabbing a couple of acoustic guitars and going out the front and doing like a shortened set in front of the venue, which was really fucking cool. But the panic that we then had is we had to get from Copenhagen back to Calais to get back into the UK before the UK declared its lockdown. And like, we were literally, as we were going through countries, like, borders were closing. It was like, fuck. So yeah, that was a pretty sketchy time.
Yeah.
But the other thing that obviously I wanted to talk to you about, like, music wise, obviously you kind of brought it up briefly as your solo project. It only ends once. Obviously you've done the first record, which, like, you were kind enough to ask me to do the the photo artwork for. But like, I guess the first kind of question is, where did that project come from? What was the birth of that? Why did you want to kind of go and do that solo project?
Like, honestly, it was something I was thinking about, like, on the tour with Punch On, like, just kind of thinking about that, and like, like, I always liked, I like writing music. I've done a few things that are like sort of similar. There's a band I did with a friend that probably the genesis, or It Only Ends Once, but it was just like, it was like we were just talking about, like, let's do a band. He never, like, he did vocals for a joke grind band in high school, but like never did anything. And kind of like a tech thing where we started we were both in an old English class at the PhD program in Houston, and it was like, we'll do like a black metal sort of thing, and just write all the music, and I'll just do votes. And I was like, I'll do that, like, sure. And then when I wrote that record, you can find it it's called like Hearth Companion, but basically like seeing how that kind of and just how things are so much easier now to record music, like, whether it's direct. I did it all in my apartment. So I started thinking about doing something like that, and so feeling very real inspired coming back from the UK tour. I think I was I got home and had like a month-long break, and whenever I have a lot of time off, that's what I do. I just get to work and do something. Just like, like, oh, okay, suddenly I have a bunch of time. That's great. Let's use it. And I just knew I wanted to do something different than Overo. I knew it was going to be some sort of melodic, blackened sort of thing, but I was like, a lot of the Overo songs, like like I don't think many stretch past 4 minutes. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's push that. Let's try and do 10, 20-minute songs. And I don't know, like the project kind of was also just like a way to. I'm trying to make enough things different from Overo that's like Overo has a lot to deal with, like the personal retrospective, and these are just like lyrically. And then as far as the music goes, it's very like, I mean, we call it the way we kind of describe it to ourselves is like, screamo before they called it screamo. We're trying to like emotional hardcore that also will have D-beat parts and will just be, the hardcore in that we don't, but it only ends once. I'm trying to both post-rock influences, more black, more active, heavy screamo influences. And it's great to just have like a project that like anytime they can work on it. Like it's just when I'm around, like when I have time. Even the songwriting is really different because like Overo, I tend to write a full song and then kind of brainstorm them. Like it only ends once. Sometimes I'm like, I have no ideas. I'm gonna find just gonna riff, and then be like, okay, played that part for a good bit, and now I'm gonna have lunch, and I come back and just be like, what would happen after this, and just kind of and like record as I'm writing. Sometimes I have some false starts, but none of those. Like I don't write a 15-minute song in one sitting, like for everything.
And like in terms of the kind of responses got, because I think again, like we kind of spoke privately, you were kind of originally just going to do it as like a digital thing, but then you got talking to Sean, and obviously they're doing the tapes, and you said about kind of doing stuff further. So like, I don't know, like, were you kind of expecting not people to give a shit, but like the kind of response that it's got and that people have kind of invested in that project as well?
I don't know. It only ends once. Like for me, it's incredibly personal and like something that like I'm going to continue. Like my plan right now is to continue it. Like and also trying to like I was really excited when Sean approached. Asked and was like, do you want to make this some sort of benefit thing? And I was like, this would be a good way to do this, but to kind of use it almost as a a charitable sort of project where I might be able to raise money through writing records, which would be fantastic. But because I don't band, because I haven't done shows or something like that, sometimes I feel like, what would it be like in a band to take this on tour? There's also like a barrier of entry. If another band approached me was like, we'll be your band, I'd be like, let's do it. But like getting everyone together and like trying to find people who would be interested to do local something. It's kind of so because there's not like a live response, like it does kind of make me feel a little insulated from like seeing how people are responding to it. Whereas like Overo was very immediate. Like we as like both at shows and then otherwise, like I mean, and I think a lot of that probably has to do with just Mercy and Mercy's like kind of reach and like what they accomplished with football, etc. Maybe like to a lesser degree, bringing over future fans. But like that was like, I mean, when we put out our demo, it was just 2 songs off Bandcamp, it was like, 24 hours later, Mercy's like, oh, a lot of people are talking about this in Japan, and I'm like, what? But I don't know. I'm certainly interested, but I tend to not seek out what people are saying, or like if I hear something, then I'm excited and I might share it. But I don't think I've like Googled either project.
Yeah. And then in terms of kind of like, as you say, you've kind of fantasized about doing it live and things like that. But in terms of kind of moving it forward, or even if you kind of want to move it forward, like what's the kind of next step? Is it just sort of like writing more material for that project, or have you got future plans, or is it just as and when it comes?
I'm hoping the easy answer is more songs, more records. And like, I mean, I didn't expect to do 2 LPs in 6 months. Like, but like, and I don't think I'm not gonna try to like keep that momentum and be like, I'm gonna try to do 4 albums a year. But who knows how long I feel quarantined? Maybe that'll happen. But and I mean, that is one of the things the fact that it's just me, and it's a project I'm willing to grow and also like don't feel confined. I can certainly push it in a couple of different directions as I. So that is exciting musically. Just to have stability. Because like, I mean, Overo doesn't have any plan to like stop, but at the same time, there's 4 people, and if one of us moves, if something happens, like, there's all sorts of different things that having a core and like having a group of people. Like, I'm like, I guess I could do it only in once, kind of, until I just get bored and stop. Like, like I said, like I fantasize like doing some live shows or going on tour. I'd love to do a tour, but I feel like the way it would happen would be if another band like agreed to be my backing band and move. Together. Like, I mean, Empire did that for what, like 10 years, where it was just be like Empire is Keith plus whoever he's on tour with. Like that seems better to me and more beneficial than trying to find like a local group of people. Because even if I was like, hey, most of the songs are just 2 guitars, bass and drums. If I were to approach Overo and was, hey, can you do a show? But I wouldn't want to take practice time away from Overo. Stuff and be like, okay, now everyone learn these songs for 3-4 weeks. We'll do that show, and then we can start writing again. I mean, I feel like it'd be fun, but if I'd be like, well, why don't we just have Overo play that show, and then we wouldn't
And before I kind of like round things up, Brendan, the other thing that me and you have in common and a passion and love for is magic. So have you been learning more tricks in quarantine?
Yes. Hold on. Let me. I have one in particular that Lacey and lights are terrible. Okay. So, yes, I do have a trick, and it might go terrible, but let's try it.
Let's go for it.
Okay, so I have a deck of cards.
Right.
I have taken. How we start with this? I want for you to think of any of the 52.
Right. Okay.
Think of it. Get in your head, and so a lot of times people will say, like, Ace of Spades, probably just because Motorhead. A lot of times the Queen of Hearts, which is typically associated with love and stuff. But think of something like get one in your head that is really try and trick me.
Okay.
So you have that card in mind?
Yeah.
Okay. What is it?
I'll just tell you.
Just tell me.
Okay, 7 of clubs.
The 7 of clubs.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing. I've taken this deck of cards, and I have turned one card around. And so as you can see, sometimes 6, one card, and that card was the 7 of clubs.
You motherfucker! That's so sick. Oh, mate. Fair play to you. Fair play.
Yeah.
But, yeah. The other thing, because I think you posted up about it. Did you watch Magic for Humans? Like the latest?
Oh, yeah. I love that show. It's so good. I think Justin Willman is, I love his, magic persona.
Yeah.
He came to Houston. I went to see it, and it was incredible. It was he found a Susan in the audience. It was great.
Brilliant. So good.
Mm-hmm.
And quickly, 2 last things before I let you go. 2 audience participation questions.
Yeah.
So one is from our lovely friend Sean Adicott. Mm-hmm. His standard question that he seems to ask everyone that I have on this: D beats or blast beats?
Oh shit! I would have said until last year, I probably would have been 100% on D beats.
Yeah.
I'm preferring blast beats as of this moment.
Okay. We'll go with that. And then my friend Simon, he hosts a podcast called The Sea Bin.
Yeah.
This is a classic question that he asks on his show.
Mm-hmm.
Would you prefer shoes for poos or poos for shoes?
I think I like the idea of poos for shoes.
Yeah.
If I'm going to, just because it seems as if you're, it costs less. That happens naturally, is naturally occurring, and you get a product out of it.
Yeah. No. Okay. That is sound reasoning. I like that. Cool. Right, Brendan. How I sort of sign these off is obviously everyone is kind of missing live music, going to shows. That's the inevitable.
Yeah.
But what's the one thing that you're most looking forward to about coming out of quarantine and lockdown?
Damn. I mean, it's difficult because I feel like, lockdown is technically for Texas, but I feel like it's going to be a very it's not as if I intend to start if there was a show tomorrow, I think I would go.
Yeah.
But things I'm missing. I'm certainly missing just hanging out. I'm missing going out to eat and hanging out, and not feeling it's get in, get out,
Yeah.
And so I have a love-hate relationship with poetry and fiction readings. I go to a lot of them, sometimes more than I go to punk shows.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, maybe not for a long time, but I often feel as if they are not as entertaining, but I kind of miss that. I kind of just miss getting together with other writers to talk about and for people to read, and even if I might get in trouble for saying this, but I feel like a bad band is like orders of magnitude better than a bad writer, like a bad reader. And sometimes a great writer will be a bad reader. So you can like really never know where it's like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They're just like get up there and timidly like whisper their piece that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
all flies by you. I'm starting to miss that. Like just like sitting in a group of people like talking about writing. That's good. Good. I know you probably just want one thing, but like now that I'm like thinking, I'm also gonna miss teaching, and I'm gonna miss like I have one more class in the fall.
Yeah.
It's all online, and I purposely have like always tried to avoid online classes because
Yeah, yeah.
I mean I feel like they're pretty confusing. I feel like there's a lot of things that can go wrong, and then it's very easy to get distracted.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm missing teaching.
Fair. Well, Brendan, thank you very much for taking time to do this. It's been lovely speaking to you and hearing from you, my man. And
I hope we can get together. I'd like to do this again, but not on your podcast. And I'd like to ask you more questions.
Yeah, man, definitely. Like we'll hook something up and we'll have a chat. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to see each other in person at some point soon as well. That'll be fucking rad.
I hope so.
Cool. Take it easy, dude.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.